Hi, good evening, and yes, this is my real voice, apart from when it's not.
You make it look like it's magic.
Why can't we flex on the world and make them say our name?
You make it look like it's magic. I see nobody but you.
This is Snapshot Eye, real name Paul Breach, perhaps the cringiest person on TikTok right now, and that's saying something. Side note, seeing as Paul is literally the epitome of cringe, that word is probably going to be overused in this video, so I propose a drinking game. Take a shot every time you hear it, that's twice already, and let me know in the comments how drunk you get. Despite wasting a solid 3 hours each day on TikTok recently, I've somehow managed to avoid him until the other day when my friend sent me one of his videos and I fell down the rabbit hole. I'm not sure exactly when Paul decided to disgrace the internet with his presence for the first time, but it seems that he was relatively unknown before this year. Now his newer account, Beauty Beyond the Eye, has nearly 325,000 followers, and it seems if you search his name once, your feed will be infected like the plague with his face, which has been compared to those ham slices for kids that you can get at Tesco's that are made to resemble a bear character. Perhaps the first video of Paul's that gained significant attention was a ridiculously bad song he wrote about the footballer Jack Grealish in the tune of September, a song I thought I'd never get sick of, but now I'm questioning everything, including my existence on the same planet as this idiot.
Do you remember? Before the Euros there was a footballer that the girls didn't know, do you remember?
I'd like to say that he had the self-awareness to realise how daft he sounds and that this was just a joke, but honestly I'm not even sure at this point.
He was Jack Grealish. And now everyone knows it's on my baba, it's on my boo 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 boo, it's on my baba.
The majority of his videos show him prancing around and lip-syncing like a 12-year-old girl to music that he shouldn't even know, which would be fine if it wasn't for the fact that he's 42 years old and trying to blend in with the young'uns as successfully as I'd blend in amongst a group of turtles. He seems delusional enough to believe he can blend in though, and expected people to believe he was denied entry to a club in London because he didn't have ID, when he's more than double the legal age to drink. The actual reason hasn't been confirmed, but I'd be willing to bet there's more to it. Now you might think I'm being unusually harsh about this man. Sure, he might be cringy, he might make you want to delete TikTok, pour bleach in your eyes and forget any of this ever happened, but he's just a quirky, harmless man probably going through a midlife crisis, right? Wrong. It's not uncommon for unusual and distinctive characters to blow up on the internet, with everyone making fun of them and turning them into a meme, and I often feel sorry for them when they've done nothing wrong, but my research has led me to believe that Paul is a potentially dangerous individual who should not have a platform on TikTok, or any other social media for that matter. This entire saga is pretty wild, and this video would be a lot longer if I discussed every single creepy and inappropriate thing Paul has said or done, but we're going to cover the basics, starting with the fact that at the age of 27, he was in a relationship with a 16-year-old girl, and had a child with her. As many of you will know, I live in England, and unfortunately so does Paul. Unlike America and some other countries, the age of consent here is 16, so he hasn't actually broken the law, but by most rational people's standards, he crossed a line. Engaging in any kind of activity with a 16-year-old when you're 11 years older is literally as noncy as you can legally get. Thankfully, they broke up at some point, and Paul found his next victim. We'll get to that. As far as I'm aware, he still has contact with his son, surprisingly unsupervised, though concerns have been raised about his parenting skills. In addition to his cringy dancing videos, he's obsessed with doing live streams, even when he's supposed to be taking care of his son. Sometimes his son is in the background when he's doing these live streams, and he has reportedly had inappropriate conversations in front of him, for example talking about crotchless underwear. Paul's next relationship was with Frankie, who he met on TikTok and dated for all of about 3 weeks. For obvious reasons, she has since deleted all her social media. In January this year, an Instagram account by the name of The Blonde Oldie, that initially appeared to be Frankie, was found, with only 1 follower, Paul, and 1 photo with 1 like and comment from Paul. Turns out this wasn't Frankie at all, it was in fact Paul impersonating her for some unknown reason, and after he was called out, the account was deleted. Despite Paul's comment on the photo that read, "Yes, I am the blonde oldie," he later claimed that Frankie made the account herself because she was getting hate, which obviously makes no sense. The next individual he was involved with was Sophie. I'm not sure exactly how old she is, but she's clearly quite a few years younger than him. Notice a pattern forming here? Like with Frankie, he met Sophie on TikTok. I obviously missed the memo that TikTok is now a dating site. How the hell is he finding relationships on there? All I get is memes and cringy Andrew Tate clips, and now I'm starting to think I'm wasting my time on Tinder when I could be finding a dramatic situationship that lasts less than a month and ends with a live stream where I get ripped into for sounding like the female version of Chills. I'm definitely missing out here. Anyway, this relationship, if you can even call it that, lasted about 2 months and ended with Paul temporarily leaving TikTok and Sophie taking his chocolate velvetizer hostage. Don't even ask me what that is because I have no idea. These idyllic 2 months consisted of 1 trip to Costa, 1 trip to IKEA to film some TikToks, and many days of Paul chilling at Sophie's in his pyjamas and her slippers, clearing out her cupboards and sharing her bed. Or so he claims. She denies this and says she slept on her sofa while he slept in her bed, hiding under the duvet after she told him he spends too much time on TikTok. The first time they met, he gifted her a set of tea, coffee, sugar and cookie jars, which she realised he'd actually bought for Frankie, but they broke up before he could give her them. The second time they met up was when he came to stay with her for a few days. His dad drove him there and he spent the whole time eating her food, leaving empty yogurt pots on her sofa, and recording Sophie, even though she asked him not to. Sophie suspected he was trying to move in with her because he brought pretty much all his belongings, including his birth certificate, and gave up his flat shortly after, then moved in with his dad, and he's been there ever since, festering in the bathroom, making more and more cringy TikToks that no one wants to see. He had a couple of job interviews near where Sophie lives, how convenient, and expected her to drive him there without offering petrol money. I'm not sure what the specific reason for them breaking up was. I can only imagine Sophie got the ick. I'm surprised it took so long, but it wasn't long before Paul found yet another young woman on TikTok to creep on. Leanne is in her early 20s and, like Frankie, has a young child. Paul's inappropriate behaviour continued on lives with her as he asked her indecorous questions like had she had certain contact with someone in a cinema before, and said he'd go visit her the following morning for a Sunday dinner. I feel like that's a euphemism. As far as I'm aware, they were never in a relationship or even dating, but he was weirdly possessive when talking to her. In front of her friends on one of these lives, he said, "I'm not happy if you go off gallivanting without planning it again." He asked what time the 3 guys were coming over, asked if it was 3 guys, she said it was 2, and he laughed awkwardly in a way that suggested he didn't exactly approve. He then proceeded to ask Leanne's friends to send him photos of her exes, and when she said there were too many, he again laughed in a way that you can tell was him trying to hide his disapproval, in my opinion. The cherry on top was when he allegedly asked her to send inappropriate photos of herself. I really hope she didn't do that. In addition to his concerning relationship history, Paul has been called out on various other dubious behaviours. He was found to be liking photos on Instagram posted by 16 to 17-year-olds, some of which showed them in prom dresses and bikinis. One of these was a now 19-year-old woman, and he had liked photos, including bikini photos, from as early as 2017, when she was just 15. There was no mistaking her age, as some of the photos he liked were from her 16th birthday, where she was holding balloons with the number 16. When questioned about this, he said he only did so because she was a cancer survivor, which is a weird reason in itself and makes none of this look any better. But she confirmed that she has never had any contact with him and didn't even know who he was. A couple of grooming survivors have attempted to appeal to Paul's better nature before they realised he didn't have one and told their stories that were similar to his relationships, with hopes that he might realise how his actions could negatively affect these girls in the long run. One, known as Boo, was 16 when she was groomed by a 27-year-old, the same ages as Paul and the mother of his child when he got her pregnant. Paul proceeded to mock Boo in one of his TikToks, saying, "My Boo, my little boo boo boo." A 15-year-old girl suffering with an ovarian disease reached out to Boo and provided evidence that Paul had not only liked her photos but messaged her, implying he could provide a safe space for her to open up about her illness. Just a few days ago, Paul uploaded a TikTok in which he claimed to have had a brief conversation with a young girl who was suffering with an unspecified illness. She'd apparently messaged him being friendly and supportive, telling him she'd been in hospital for months. Then they didn't speak for some time until the 5th of September, when she messaged him again to say she was out of hospital, and because he was busy, he just liked the message rather than replying. 5 days later, she tragically passed away, and Paul decided to use this to fish for attention and make it about himself, as if him replying to her would have fulfilled her dying wish or something. After looking like he was almost in tears, literally the day after, he was back to posting cringy and suggestive dancing clips, like he's Don Juan reincarnated. To make matters worse, the girl's friend had apparently looked through her messages and discovered that she had never even spoken to Paul, meaning he fabricated an interaction with a dead girl for his own personal gain. There really is no limit to how low this man will stoop. He also admitted to meeting a 19-year-old to go geocaching, and allegedly tried to meet another 19-year-old in a hotel in London. I can't find the exact clip again where he responded, but when questioned about his antics, he compared it to some situation along the lines of a middle-aged gay man asking young male footballers to go out for drinks with him, asking if people would view that the same. I can't be the only one that thinks that hypothetical situation would also be weird. His lack of personal responsibility and self-awareness is honestly astonishing. He asked for feet pictures from followers, then tried to pass it off as an innocent attempt at fan interaction, and suggested that sending such photos might build his followers' confidence. Paul has a Cameo account where people can pay him to make a short, personalised video for them. I guess this kinda makes sense when it's a celebrity, but who on earth is giving this idiot their hard-earned money, simultaneously feeding his ego and making him think he's TikTok famous for anything but the wrong reasons? In addition to his poor customer service, for example when he made a cocky video calling people out for not saying please when asking for their cameos, he allegedly was asked to create one for the customer's 15-year-old cousin, and here's what he sent.
Hello, love. Hello, duck. Hello, babe. Hello, honey. Hello, sweetie. Hello, cupcake. Hello, my little delectable princess.
I honestly have no words. He also has a Wattpad account where he writes fan fiction that he described as R-rated and smut. Nothing inherently wrong with this type of content, but I think given his history of inappropriate behaviour, and that he clearly tries to appeal to a younger audience, it helps paint a picture of the type of person he is, and it's bloody concerning. You might be wondering what Paul actually does with his life other than publicly embarrass himself and prey on young women. Well, until recently, he was actually a carer. That's right, this creepy, middle-aged man was actually employed to look after vulnerable people. I believe the people he cared for were elderly, or at least well into adulthood, thankfully not young people, but unsurprisingly, he still found a way to abuse his position. In one of his TikToks, he talked about how he will sometimes hug patients, hold their hands, and even kiss them on the forehead or cheek. In very specific situations where the patient has made it clear they're comfortable with it, I don't think a brief, friendly hug or a hold of the hand is too weird. I'm guessing you're probably still not supposed to do that, and he should know that, but I can see the innocent intention behind it. I can't picture a situation where it would be acceptable to kiss them though. At best it comes across as condescending, and at worst it's outright predacious. Recently, Paul announced that he quit his job to focus on social media full-time. This is pure conjecture on my part, but given the situation and the notoriety that has arisen from his online presence, I wouldn't be surprised if he was sacked, or at least that he left the job before his employer had the chance to let him go. Around a month ago, Sophie shocked the people of TikTok when she decided to rekindle her bizarre romance with Paul, leading to some comparing them both to Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell. They went on a trip to London, during which time Paul posted a photo of Sophie wearing sandals on Instagram, sparking an influx of comments ridiculing her toes. This led to Paul having somewhat of a meltdown, deleting photos of Sophie and making his Instagram private. But like herpes, he always comes back. Time will tell whether he and Sophie will last. Somehow I doubt it, and I think there's still plenty of drama that will emerge from this baffling situation. A storm is brewing, and I think it's yet to reach its peak. I'm not a doctor or psychiatrist, so I'm not about to diagnose Paul based on his internet persona, but I personally believe there is some kind of diagnosis that could be made here, and that probably explains some of his erratic, childish and attention-seeking behaviour. Though I think he knows exactly what he's doing when he's using his platform to worm his way in with girls half his age or even younger. He has made a habit out of using TikTok to find young women to prey on. In fact, he admits to meeting up with 7 different girls from TikTok. The thing that really bothers me about Paul and other reprobates like him is that they're smart enough to not actually break the law, so there's nothing police can do about them. He knows he can get arrested if he has any physical contact with anyone under the age of 16. So at 27, he goes for the youngest aged girl he can get away with, and in his early 40s, he's going for women 20 years or more younger than him. It's gross and predatory, but he knows he can get away with it because it's not actually illegal. In his own words, I haven't technically done anything wrong. So all we can do is increase awareness of Paul and others like him, with hopes that we can prevent others falling into his trap. I'd be interested to hear your thoughts in the comments. Around 60% of my subscribers are American, so I'm curious to know if you guys have even heard of Paul. If you enjoyed the video, please consider liking and subscribing, and leaving a tip by clicking the thanks under this video. Huge thank you to my patrons, whose names are on screen now. I really appreciate your support. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on Thursday for a new video.